Okay, we're back with another episode of In Bed with Guitars. It's been a while. I've been sick, of course, like everyone else. And this time it's kind of feels like it's got some hooks in me, like it's not going away. My lungs have been messed up. I got terrible asthma, and I'm just running through inhalers and stuff, and I need to get into the doctor. That's later. I actually took this from I think it was a Atari Age user's avatar or something that I just couldn't stop laughing when I saw it. And I noticed something that I think most people probably don't notice when they see this. And that's that I'm pretty sure this is an action figure of Jason Voorhees. If you look at it, I'm pretty sure it's like a Sideshow or Hot Toys Friday the 13th figure. The reason I think that, of course I might be wrong, but what makes me think that is the size of the threading on his jacket here is really big, and also the size of the stitching on the clothes is really big. And that's something that's common with like 1/6 scale, a 12-inch, or what we call play scale toys. Now Barbie is play scale, so, and there's arguably the largest amount of human interactive type of items in the play scale world. There's also G.I. Joe's scale, which might be like 1/18th or something. All those different scales. The most popular scale today is becoming like 1/12th, which is actually half of this size, and those are the 6-inch tall figures, but also 1/10th, which is 7-inch tall figures, are becoming very popular too. I'm going to do another custom guitar, and these are the parts I've ordered. This video will have been pieced together to be shown after the completion of the custom instrument and some repairs that are going on with these parts. So, but I'm just starting the recording of what I'm getting and hopefully the process of receiving these items instead of watching these items get stolen by the Postal Service. Okay, which has only happened once. I don't know why that happened. It was a unique situation, and I think it's getting worse. I think that there was this air of security in that the delivery of postal goods is supposed to be a federally protected service. It said that the mailbox and the inside of the mailbox is actually federal property, and that you're supposed to be incarcerated by the federal government, federal prison, for breaking federal law. But instead what we have are porch pirates who are on ring cams with their face in plain view, stealing people's packages, and no one does anything about it at all, ever. And I think it would be really nice if the federal government that we fund, that makes federal laws that we're all supposed to be following, would enforce that specific federal law aggressively, because I think mail theft is one of the absolute lowest things that a human can do. It's like tainting food. If you're like spitting or putting crap or hair in someone's food, that is the lowest of the low that you can possibly be. Stealing people's packages off their porch or out of their mailbox and stuff, that is the lowest. It's like one of the lowest scumbag things that a person can do. In this particular case, though, I think it's because the fear of that actually happening, because it never happens, has subsided. And now what we have are people that are intentionally getting employed by the mail delivery services to steal mail. And so because of that, a lot more mail theft is going to be happening, and I'm sure mail theft is on the rise. So I got stung with it. Now, when I investigated the case, which happened last year, the guitar neck I bought actually was said to have been in Indianapolis, and that's where it stayed until it was never found. It has never been found. I know it was stolen because they never found it no matter what. It wasn't that they found an empty box or anything. Somebody was like, oh, this is from a store that says guitar in the name, and it's the shape of a guitar neck because it's a box, it's the same weight and stuff. And they're like, I'm going to steal this. They stole it. That's what it was. And they said that the reason was because, well, the forums said this. Like there's the Twitter or the Reddit groups were saying, oh, well, this is happening there because in Indianapolis they were moving their sorting facility to a different building because their sorting was becoming more demanding. They needed a larger building for more people to sort and stuff. And that actually opened the door for an abnormally large amount of theft. And so I was likely a victim of that. And hopefully, because that was last year, that sorting facility transition is finished, and the chance of my packages being stolen is much, much less. We'll see. I haven't ordered anything on eBay in a few months because I haven't had any money. Okay, so I'm also getting royalties for Yeet Fighter. So thank you to whoever bought Yeet Fighter. That pretty soon is going to be happening. Some money from Atari is going to be floating my way for programming a cool game. Okay, so we're getting this reproduction Stratocaster neck. Now, you can see here it says hot sale, but under hot sale is a shape. And you're not supposed to steal Fender's shape for your guitar, or it's kind of, it's in a foggy zone, right, whether you can do that or not. But I can tell you this, and this was already handled through courts a long, long time ago, and they keep trying to rehash it, they keep trying to bring it out and everything, but, and I'm sure people will understand when I explain it, okay? The Fender body type can't be owned because it's a standard body type of a guitar, okay? And the Fender headstock shape actually can't be owned either because it's a music note. Fender does not own music note. Okay, you can't own the letter A. You can't own certain things. And one of those things is a music note. I can't write a music note and then someone else go, oh, I'm going to draw that. I go, oh, no, that's mine. I own that music note. I'm going to sue you. Nobody owns music notes, okay? The Fender headstock shape is a music note, just in case anyone didn't know that, okay? The Gibson headstock shape is a pair of butt cheeks. So there are a lot of used stamp guitar necks out there, and that's the cheapest way to get an actual Fender American neck. Fender American necks are going to cost you between $500 and $700 or $800 or more, depending on, series and what, all that stuff. So, and they're apparently the best, but when I look at them, they look like a lot of like candy lacquer paint work went into them. I don't think their frets are necessarily better than frets on cheaper guitars. I don't think their nut is necessarily better. I don't think the wood type is necessarily better than on other guitars. I don't think the truss rod is a higher quality truss rod. Now what they do though is they put like a titanium metal billet like disc in the butt of it that connects where the neck is, and that supposedly helps balance the instrument and keep it like level at the point where the neck connects to the body. And that's something that I've only seen in Fender American headstocks and Mexican headstocks. I haven't seen it in, it might be in the standard that's in Indonesia, but I'm not sure yet. So when I decide to get a USA Fender neck for a custom build, that's going to be when I have, over at least $500 or more to just instantly dedicate to a neck for a guitar. And that's where I was going to go with this one, but my son wants a practice polypropylene rapier, which is like a heavy-duty practice sword that they use in sword schools, right? It's actually dangerous, but it's not sharp. And my daughter's an artist. She's like an incredibly talented artist, and wanted to get involved with ink, and so that brought back all the memories and nostalgia of when I used to ink comic as a hobby. I would draw my own comic characters and ink them and stuff to try to learn pencil and ink for comics. And so I said, oh, well, let's get you some mapping points and pens and some Black Magic India ink and stuff, and I got her a whole bunch of stuff for that. But the guitar stuff, we've got this Stratocaster style with the music note headstock that's forbidden, and it looks good. It looks like a good one to me. Now, another reason I wanted to get this and not a expensive professional one is because this one's not screwed yet. And the professional one will have had screws that match the comfort handshake grip area of an American professional guitar. So it's not for, you know, side-by-side bolts like what you normally see on a Strat or a Strat copy. It's actually, one is lower. Now, on the guitar that I'm putting the neck on, it has the same basic shape. It has a curved comfort grip, but it doesn't angle inward like the grip on an American Fender. So I wanted to be careful about that I'm not actually having to drill lots of extra holes in a $500+ American Fender neck, which it's going to happen anyway. You know, it's really it's bound to happen anyway. So I'll show you the instrument that I'll be upgrading. Okay, so this is a Effin Guitars, which was a Butler music house brand. I don't think they're out there anymore. They had t-shirts said "Don't touch my Effin guitar." They're a certain type of guitar from a certain type of factory. Whenever you get these house brands, like Glarry and stuff like that, they're the same as IRIN or ISIN. Those are the very cheapest, actually playable entry-level instruments that you can get. Well, the house brands are usually a intermediate, or sometimes better, like with some of the Mitchell guitars, level of guitar. Now, the Effin guitars were actually the same guitars from the same factory as certain Stagg instruments. So you'll find that this guitar, that in its exact same form, can be purchased, only it's a Stagg on the headstock. And other than that, everything's identical. The only thing they did differently is they actually printed Stagg on the pickup covers. But that was the only, they're exactly the same. Every single thing about it is exactly the same. Now what you'll notice on this guitar, if you look here, is that's a comfort kind of curve on there. It's not bent inward like the Fender one, but one side where the nuts are is higher than the other side. Okay. And this is a very, very good guitar. Now, I thought it was the type of neck where if you sanded it down, it would be the same color. So when I went to do the fretwork on it, it actually started removing this like brownish coloration that makes it look like roasted maple. So I guess it might be a fake or a tinted roasted maple. And I was much more careful with the other Effin guitar I got, which actually is called a Lucky Penny. So it's another, they have lots of these. Now these are good. The bridge is okay. The knobs are sludgy though. The knobs are like kind of hard to turn. And I've actually heard some people like that because they're less likely to accidentally turn up or down their volume or tone. Like if it actually takes a little bit of force to turn it, that's preferable sometimes. But then some people, they do volume swells, or they want to really quickly, easily adjust their volume, and so those maybe they don't want a kind of sludgy knob, but these are sludgy. I'm pretty sure they're probably dime parts. So let's look at the other parts that we're going to put on this guitar, and this looks exactly like a certain Fender. It's a Fiesta Red. It has the aged looking whatever it is, the different levels to the scratch plate, the aged pickup color, the knobs and everything. They have a Fender guitar that looks almost exactly the same as this one, and so I wanted to make a reproduction of that style, the Fiesta Red. If you remember my video, which is my most viewed video, where I had installed a Wilkinson WK2, one of those beautiful 2-pin floating bridges with the really cool long saddles and smooth bending action, relatively inexpensive, exceedingly high quality bridge. So I've actually seen the WK2 Wilkinson bridge on professional grade instruments, and it's a pro grade bridge if it's set up properly. Well, I installed that on a old made in Neptune Kramer, like a blue Kramer, and it's had some real messed up stuff done to it. So I installed custom pickups, custom knobs. I did a complete setup, but no matter what I did, it would kind of break in and out at the output jack. So this is a replacement output jack for that specific Kramer and other things that use that barrel output jack. Okay, these are Alnico 5 single coil vintage hot 50s pickups for Strat. The reviews said these sound exactly like the original 50s pickups that were in Strats. They are the cloth wires, just like the original. That's not plastic, that's the cloth style wires. Those are going to be the pickups that go in this project guitar. And then we have these Art of Tone CTS 250K pots with the orange drop with the Gavit cloth wire. The cloth wire will match the cloth wire of the pickups. Just love it. Don't you want to eat that? Don't you? Raise your hands in the audience. Who here just wants to eat an orange drop capacitor? Because it just looks like candy. Doesn't it look like that must be delicious? Genuine Fender Stratocaster aged white guitar knobs, 2-tone, 1 volume. And that's because the cheaper pots, the shaft on the pots and the little teeth on it and width and stuff, on the cheaper pots is for the cheaper knobs. And so the vintage USA or Mexico knobs will not fit. And then I got this. Now you're not supposed to do this, so don't do this, okay? Don't do what I'm doing, because this is only possibly going to be done. I'm not 100% sure if I even want to do this yet. So now I guess if you have a licensed Fender neck, they don't frown on it as much, like an All Parts or like a War Moth or something like that. But in this case, you probably shouldn't use them. These are laser printed Corona, California Stratocaster, Contour Body, and Fender Custom Shop decals. Or if you got hit in the head by baseballs or got kicked in the head by a horse, decals. There you go. These, I was going to put on my 2 that have music note headstocks that look like Fenders just for fun, but then also put on the back of the headstock a code that says that it's a replica or says that it's fake, just so that people will, under relatively easy observation, just looking over it, oh wait, this says right on it that this is a replica. That way someone won't think that I'm actually trying to imply that this is a real USA Fender or that it could be sold as one or something like that. Just for my own fun, but the legality of that is questionable. It's, again, a foggy state. It's probably not entirely legal, but then at the same time, they sell 344 of these, and who do you think's using these? Well, someone's using it if they have a vintage neck that matches that same print, which is a pretty thin window, because some of the labels say Fender, made in the USA. Some of them say Fender, then on the back it says Corona, California. Some of them say Fender, on the back it says made in the USA. I'm not using the Fender Custom Shop label on anything because I don't like Fender Custom Shop guitars. I think that what they basically are is a really good guitar that they intentionally destroy a little bit so it looks, relict or aged or something, and it's just, I don't know. I don't like that. I don't see any reason why I would want that or why anyone... my guitars show signs of wear and age, usually on the neck, because I play them, a lot. And I don't need anyone's help to do that to my instruments. I don't want to buy something that I know someone was like beating with a hammer and blowing nicotine on it because it's an Eddie Van Halen guitar. My big dream here is that I want something that says Corona on the front of it because of the Corona thing, okay? Just the Corona, California. I also got cymbals for one of my drum sets that says Wuhan on it for the same reason. I just did it just because it says Wuhan. I know there are other cymbals. The cymbals I use are Zildjians that are made in the USA, okay? But the Wuhan thing, I've heard they were great cymbals. They actually sound extremely good. Like, I totally would use them. I would totally use Wuhan cymbals. They're excellent, and they're very inexpensive. They have all brands of them, and, you know, with American electric guitars, I can kind of get the idea because we were the birthplace of jazz and rock and roll and all that stuff like that. I kind of get it, you know, even though the UK had a pretty big foothold and accelerated rock and roll. It was born here, and then it's saturated from this point out like a blot, right? So I kind of get it, where an electric guitar from the United States of America is just going to be the very, very best. I get that, but in China, they've been banging on cymbals and gongs and finger cymbals and freaking weird bell-shaped, shaky, clattery sounding. They've been Wuhan, I'm pretty sure, is the oldest cymbal maker of all time that has ever existed. I think it's like 1,000 or something crazy like that. It's like thousands of years old. So you're not going, oh, Wuhan cymbals, man, you need to buy an American-made Zildjian. What the hell is a Zildjian anyways? That's some kind of like Persian name, because in Persia they made cymbals. What does that even mean? If you buy a Wuhan cymbal, you're getting a cymbal from a factory that's been making cymbals and gongs and stuff forever. They know what they're doing. This right here, maybe not even going to go on it. I've also been watching this Euphoria show on Max, and this is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen in my whole life. It's not for the meek. It's a lot of real world. A lot of stuff that's definitely not safe for work or kids and stuff like that. But at the same time, it is an extremely magnetizing story. Like, it's so real and pertinent, especially today with fentanyl, drug abuse, and the ease of access to extremely destructive and powerful drugs like never before. When I first saw this show, I loved this character. I love Rue. And I totally fell in love with Jules. Jules is just one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. She is absolutely magnetic, and all these characters are awesome, though. They're great. And they're so good. You know an actor or an actress is really good when you watch their show, and then if they're like this guy, they play kind of a bad guy, everybody hates that guy now, right? Because his acting was so good and the character was so hateable that guy gets hated on. But he doesn't deserve that, because he's actually a really, cool, he's a normal person in real life. He's just an actor, right? And he just did a really good job with this terrible asshole character. And this guy, he died, like the actor died in real life. And another actor involved with the show died recently, so that's kind of sad. And the third season just finally came out. So, and this was a show that was on pause due to the writer's strike. And it's a kind of a near parallel time story. So when you watch it, it's like the events are part of your world, in this real world, at this time, how things are happening. It has a real, right now kind of feel to it. And I think that's important too. I wouldn't want someone to have a disconnect thinking, oh, well, the fentanyl epidemic, that didn't happen. No, it deals with fentanyl, drug mules, the drug trade, gangs, California life, spoiled rotten. That's one thing I thought about it when I first got into the first season. 'Cause I binge watched the first and second season to get ready for the third season. And then I got into the third season. And I see it on Max, and I'm just like, do I want to watch this? Do I want to watch it? One night I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to go ahead and try to watch it. I'm going to start from the beginning. I'm going to binge watch this entire thing. And I was like, holy crap, what did I get myself into? I thought these people, the characters, are some of the most evil people, and the world that they're in is just busting at the seams with just pure, spoiled, rotten, megalomaniacal levels of evil. Like, everyone is so concentred and self-centered and so selfish and backstabbing and lying and evil and self-worshipping, projecting kind of, they're just like nutcase, evil, monster kind of people. And then it settles. It's like it boils and then it lowers to a simmer and then it settles, and then you've got this story. And when the story starts to solidify, you understand it. It's like you realize what it is. And I just really did fall in love with this. You have to watch Euphoria. If you're an adult, and I think this would be really great for people that just get into college. Like, if you're just getting ready to leave high school, go to college, or if you're like a 17, 18-year-old, I'd say 18 at the minimum, just because the content is exceedingly NSFW. But, you know, it's a must-watch, because this will help you understand the drastic, you know, inescapable power of some of the drugs and the world, like, crooked pathways that people can be set on. And you will fall in love with these characters. This girl here, she is a power player in this show. She starts out, you know, and you wonder what she's going to do, and she's kind of like a sad lump, but then she becomes very, very powerful. She is kind of a narcissist that is kind of used as a yo-yo by this guy. Like, he's got this broken thing inside him where he can't feel love unless his girlfriend is thrown out to be caught on by some other dude, and then this guy gets jealous of the guy, and then that makes him aroused, and so he goes and steals her back from whoever she was with, and then they kind of like hate bond with each other, and then she's in love with him the whole time in the background, but this is her best friend. So that is an actual legit, right, love triangle thing, but with the type of narcissisms that are part of modern, the modern world backdrop. A lot of social media, a lot of smartphone kind of crap going on. This girl is a genius who is kind of doesn't understand how things are because she's kind of above it. And that blossoms into something at the end of the second season. Jules is a transgender, but she's not. She's a girl. And she is like, I don't know. She's an angel. That's all I can say. Jules is an angel. If you watch this show, at least in the first and second season, and you don't realize that Jules is an angelic being, then you're not seeing it for what it is. She is an angel. But, and Rue she's the story's focal point. She's going through just kind of a roller coaster of a life of personal and external and internal abandonment. It's really very powerful. Must watch. Okay, so it's been a couple of days now, and I've already started getting some of the parts in the mail. I was kind of surprised that the neck came today because the tracking doesn't say that anything's updated, and it's using some like odd service that I don't know, like prepares it for shipping, and it never updated. I think it might have been to avoid, I don't know, possibly avoid some kind of charges or something, or just to get it here faster. Maybe it was so it could not be followed through the mail, which could enable it to be stolen, so to mask its travel. Either way, the net got here really super fast. That's right here. As you can see, it has the MIM standard style, and this nut isn't glued down, and it's a super nice nut. But yeah, that is really, really nice. The frets are okay. They're a little pokey, but that's just because the neck's never been prepared. I think it's got a very light satin finish. Sometimes people think it's all natural, but it's usually just a super light satin finish on the neck. pretty soon. Now this came in the mail today too, and actually the guy brought it, and whatever they packaged this in the bag, they just kind of stuffed it in a bag, right? It fell out of the bag into my yard, onto my walkway, and then the mailman put the bag on my porch, and then left. And so luckily my daughter found this in the yard, it wrapped up in a little plastic bag. And then of course she handed me the package that this would have been in, and it was totally empty. So I knew, you know, 1 and 1 equals 2. This was in that package. And then what's in the box? This beautiful box right here is those vintage Alnico 5s. Beautiful. You know they're good when they go that far, right? To put it in a sweet looking box like that. And I've already looked at them, and they're, you know, everything's nice. It's got the cloth wire. So I just checked the entire neck, and there was only one spot right here. And I think that might be a part where this fret is a little too high. It looks like it might need hammered down or just worked, but that is one spot on the entire neck that had a little high spot, a little bit of rocking to it. The frets feel really good. Okay, I should have done the ruler first, or the fret checker here first, because there is a monstrous amount of back bow in this. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't get rid of the back bow with my truss rod wrench. With it cranked as much as I can get it, it's almost there. It's to the point where under tension it should be perfectly flat, but it's a little scary. I wonder if there isn't something wrong. So that's where I'm at with that. Alright, so after tweaking it as much as I am comfortable with, it's flat. I'm going to call it flat. How about that? So with it flat, I'll just run through these guys real quick.
And should be pretty much the same. Oh, might be a little bit there now. Yeah. Super small amount. I already considered, though, that I'm probably going to have to do a fret job on it just to make sure it's perfect. Because I don't like to mess around. I don't mind. It's not going to hurt my feelings at all to do a nice fret job on this. And, you know, just make sure. Yeah. What would be weird is if it took the rocking out of the end here where it was. Yeah, I think it might have. Yeah. Yep.
It did. It took whatever rocking by moving the truss rod and getting it. I think this neck just needs to acclimate. I think that's where we're at with it. It also has some little weird spots here. Like, I don't know, the fret wire is kind of adhesed or something. It's got some adhesive or something on it there. That's fine. It's all going to be gone because this is all going to be thoroughly polished. Now, in case this is the first time you've seen my video, one of the tens of people that watches my videos with any regularity, the reason I call my show In Bed with Guitars is because I'm on a big space age multi-layered memory foam mattress that I sleep on. It's super soft and can essentially do no damage to anything that I'm working on. It's not a hard table, and it's very comfortable. I can sit here and look down at my work, and it works okay, but it's just, you know, funny and silly and stupid. Fret. Anything that's a raised fret, I'm going to go ahead and try to tap it with my hammer. There it was. And now this one actually might be a slightly raised fret, because I can see a little bit of an edge there. So I'm going to go ahead and just tap it. Of course, you don't want to use anything. A brass hammer might be okay. And that did it. That immediately, that fixed the rocking fret. Okay, so we've got one fret here that's just high. Just all there is to it. And this one about this far down it's high. The rest was fixed with the little hammer. And this is rocking enough to where I think it might get in the way. So I'm going to go ahead and just deal with these two parts. And so to do that, I'm going to go ahead and start with this file, and I'm going to lower the fret very carefully.
Just check. Same check, careful, careful, all the way through. You're going to end up with a flat surface that has to be rounded in. We need to recrown. Okay. And this is fine enough, it's going to take a few minutes here, for sure.
Okay, so I've got some use out of this brand new tool. This was very, very high, to the point where it needed to be flattened considerably. Here, took a little bit less application. Now this has, like I said, some wider grain, very fine grain, and then it has it on the ends. Seems like a pretty good file so far. So now we have no rocking on that was high fret, and then we have no rocking on that fret. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. So now I'm going to go ahead and mark the fret again. And this will be so that we can do the next step, which is recrowning. Okay, now I'm going to test this crowning, and I think that looks pretty good. Be careful at first, and what you want to end up with is you want to turn your wide line into a really thin line. Okay. And remember, when you're working on a radius, you don't want to try to make it flat, because then your frets will be flat and they won't follow the radius of your neck. I thought about starting a workshop. I might still do it one of these days just for fun, called the Fret Butcher. Because what I do is more by eye and by feel than by metric. And I think it helps to do that, because I think that you're asking for a unhealthy amount of frustration if you follow any kind of strict rule book on how to set up things. Every single instrument is nuanced and different. Every instrument sounds its own way, feels its own way. Every player plays their own way and has their own unique eccentric style. And there are, you know, like clothes, okay? Remember videos of the 20s? When I look at black and white videos of the 20s, I think it looks like the future, because everybody has the same car, everybody's wearing the same clothes, they all are so civilized and calm and kind and peaceful, and they all just kind of promenade around each other, and everything is nice, right? And then now today, you will never see a person that has the same outfit on as another person. Just try to find one. Look around and see if you can find any person ever that is wearing exactly the same outfit as another person. Now, of course, it's because of, you know, industry and complexity and population and all of the different diversities all melting together. But my point is that you're not going to deal usually with absolutely exactly identical things ever when working on a guitar. So some guy's going to bring you one and go, oh, it's this guitar. And so you don't want, I'm not saying you shouldn't use the standard measurements that they advise for preparing their instruments, because they'll have this is what the width of your pickup to your string is supposed to be. This is what your height to your on your fretboard to the strings is supposed to be. There's low, medium, high action, and then you just have these presets that you follow, and then the player says, I would like my action to be low. And then you have a little checker, and you go, oh, this action is low. My checker says that the action is low. And then they're going to play it and go, oh, man, it just doesn't play right. It's okay, but it's not as good as it was. So there's so much, there's just like, I don't know, there's so many elements that feel is the only way around the chaos element. And so what I do, if I'm going to follow the rules, which is cute and cool, then I will, and I'll preset if I can, but then I'll adjust things by eye and by feel myself. And I would recommend that. Always do everything when you're working on these things, every tiny thing by feel. Don't ever do anything by automatic response. And there's a lot of things people do that I think are unnecessary. We live in a, product, consumer-oriented world here where I am. And we live in a world where someone is always telling you that you need more. And that's because they're selling you more. And they're getting more money. Sanding pads. Someone tells you, oh, to do the best work on your frets, you need this kit of sanding pads. That's the best sell I've ever seen, because sanding pads are going to run out of grit to where they're unusable. They're going to have a dozen different levels of grit, and then you're going to get this idea in your head that you're not doing it right unless you're doing whatever, 220, then 400, then 500, then 600, then 800, then 1200, then 2000, then 3000, then you're laying down some polish on it, then you're polishing it with a Dremel, and then you're doing a final glaze polish on its mirror. You're going to get the same exact results if you sand it with a relatively medium to high grit sandpaper or sanding sponge, and then polish it by hand with something like quad aught steel wool. And that's what they did back in the day. You actually think in the factory there was somebody in that factory when they were making those guitars that everyone wants, that are sought after, that's the style they're trying to achieve today, that's the classical sound, that's the way things are supposed to be. That person in the factory had a box of 15 different grits of sandpaper, and they were running over the frets with 15 different grits of sand. No, there's a guy out there that's selling you sanding pads. Okay? And he knows that you're going to run out of sanding pads. You're going to run out of that. So when you look for stuff, this right here is going to last me a long time. And it's going to do the same work as 3 different things. This can do edging, this can do rounding, this can do leveling. There's no sandpaper, there's no block, and I have more control over it, but it takes slightly longer. So why would I buy a block, lifetime supply of varying degrees of grit of sandpaper, 12 to 15 different grades of sandpaper pads, an edging file and a rounding file, when I can have just one thing? So, and it's just it's consumer mind. It's the consumer mind that does that to you. We think that's really what we have to do. That is definitely not what we have to do. What you want to do is use the good stuff. Use the stuff. Now, what they did in the factories, I'm pretty sure, is they used quad aught steel wool. They would run over it with 2 different levels of probably a large flat file, and they would maintain the radius by not applying pressure. They would level. Then they would use a crowning file. Then they would use a 2 or 3 step polishing, and the last polishing was with quad 400 ultra fine steel wool. And it gets everywhere, it gets in everything, it's going to be in your body, but it's going to make this thing super shiny and bright and perfect. And it's beautiful. I mean, I have to recommend it. It's cheap. And when you order it, like they have elves or dwarves or something that just like, you know, they're the ones that shear the robot sheep where they get the steel wool from. They raise them in hidden places so you never see them. And then they actually send out, I think they ride on the backs of squirrels or cats or something, and they just are at your front door. When I ordered my quad-aught steel wool last time, it got to my house the next morning. Like, I think I ordered it in the evening, and then it was there on my porch the next morning. It was the fastest thing that has ever gotten to me in the mail. I don't think it went through the mail. Went ahead and switched to my Hosco TLFF3 for this one because it was just not reaching the point. I can recommend Hosco, made in Japan, super, super high quality. And then here's my Leatherman. Now this is the finest. It's just the finest. When I go in here, it feels perfect. Now that's perfect. It really is that good. I can feel what I'm doing. What I'm doing is taking any sharp edges off the frets, any kind of little cornering that's going on the frets that sticks out or could stick out. Now it is a little warm and humid for this work, so this is probably going to have to be done again later when it's cold and dry. This project was actually supposed to happen last winter. Booger, man, I hate that game. I can't eat chocolate called reindeer poop. I can't use lizard spit. That's disgusting. There's actually a fudge factory in the city I live in called Uranus Fudge Factory. The best fudge comes from Uranus. Okay. Can't eat it. Probably can't eat it because I'm vegan, but also if I wasn't vegan, I probably couldn't eat it just because it says it's from Uranus. And I just feel like that invites something. Like, I feel like if I proved there was shit in it, then they would win in a court and say, hey, we warned you. We warned you. The name of our fudge factory is it's from Uranus. What comes from Uranus, huh? Yeah. It's gross. I can't drink horse piss beer. They have that. They have this beer that is called horse piss. It might be the greatest beer in the entire world. I will never drink it and will never know because it's called horse piss. I can't drink it. It doesn't matter. I saw a little short pop up, which YouTube loves to put shorts up that are anti-vegan, that said, if we're not meant to eat cows, then why are they made of steak? And it showed a great picture, which is absolutely mentally retarded. You know, for a lot of reasons, but, you know, everything's made of muscle tissue. Just so you know, that means, by that rationale, humans should be getting eaten. We shouldn't be wasting any of that human steak, because that's muscle tissue, yeah. Every living thing has muscle tissue somehow, right? Like, and we're just, and because cows are made of steak, so is everything. Everything's made of steak. Yeah. Give me a break. You know, one reason I think that's obvious that you shouldn't eat meat is because you're a primate herbivore. Like the primate herbivore that you claim to be evolved from, regardless of whether you believe in those sorts of things or not. They say that chromosomatically you're like the same as a chimpanzee. Just, you know, 2 switches flipped and you're a human, right? But where did those 2 switches make such drastic changes that you are now a carnivore? It's ridiculous. People are truly ridiculous. All right, this is almost there. Just going to give it a once over, and then I'll get ready to prep the frets. We'll do a before and after. Oh, I love that original Ninja Turtles game for the Nintendo. We got hooked up so fat when that game came out. Perfect timing. Everybody was bananas about the Turtles. Still are. They still make great Turtles toys to this day. Comics are still good. Now they have a girl turtle who's really awesome named Janica. Just what a great franchise. Very complex and fun. Plus it's like, you know, kind of mocking the nuclear society where, you know, we have all this toxic waste and stuff and mutations. Brings that into light, but it's just a great idea. Some super smart idea. Now I had the original Turtles comic book back in the day, and Eastman and Laird, black and white, where all their headbands were red. I got in trouble once, right? And my brother decided he owned my comic collection after that for whatever reason. So, haven't seen it since then. Sometimes when I program, I watch a channel called World Video Games where they play random games, like 1 hour of random video games, and it's just very inspirational. I'll often see games that I didn't even know existed. Cover a lot of sometimes Famicom games that you never heard of, and just a lot of cool games. I like to do this until the edges of the frets are kind of rounded. The SG-1000 came out the same day as the Famicom, and we're talking about being DOA, right? Like the SG-1000 was basically like a souped up ColecoVision or an MSX. I think it might have had a slightly better scrolling engine going on with it or something. Something was slightly better, but for the most part, it was, you know, it paled in comparison to the capabilities of the Famicom, which had, you know, you rarely find a Famicom game that doesn't have at least 3 color sprites or a really good musical score. You know, the Famicom games were great. So the SG-1000, which was Sega's first system, had Atari-style games, cartridges, had a joystick with 2 buttons, much like a Gemini, or like an expanded form of an Atari joystick. So the Coleco Gemini, I mean, which was an Atari clone that had better joysticks. It really didn't have a chance. Really, it didn't. It came out fighting and then kind of got knocked down immediately by Nintendo. But then when the Sega Genesis came out, they kind of had their brief moment of revenge, because the Sega Genesis, of course, is an extraordinarily good game system. So I watched Bithead 1000, and he just did a video about how he was done with Sega, he was switching sides, and he was going to go PC Engine now, right? And so he showed a bunch of Sega games, side-scrolling shooters and stuff. And then he showed, okay, well, you know, we're gonna just kill Sega right here, right now. And he showed Lords of Thunder, and acted like, oh, this is the greatest thing of all time. Lords of Thunder just blows anything on the Sega away. It's totally awesome. Well, the problem is, Lords of Thunder is a PC Engine Super CD-ROM 2 game. Requires a Turbo Duo or a 2.0 card at least for your PC Engine CD-ROM system if you don't have a PC Engine Duo or a Turbo Duo. But also, it came out for the Sega CD. So Lords of Thunder came out for the Sega CD. It had a very, very slightly reduced color palette, but it had arguably better sound, better volume attenuation. There were some problems with the volume on Lords of Thunder for the PC Engine. People complained that the sound effects were too loud to enjoy the incredible, like, heavy metal guitar soundtrack that the game delights you with. But yeah, and I've been watching him for years and years and years, and when I pointed that out, he said, "Get off my show," or something like that. Which is perfect, you know. He's a salty Jersey boy. Half the time I watch his show just to laugh at him for the first half hour, and then I stop. Talk about caressing his dog in terrible ways, and how his wife, oh God, hates on his wife so bad. But he's the same age as me too. I don't know if he knows that, but I'm sure he doesn't watch my videos. There's no way, and no one watches my videos. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and polish each and every fret with this quad-aught steel wool. Now, if you're dealing with something other than a light finish or raw wood, I would recommend taping off stuff. Now, when I use this on rosewood, of course I don't, and when it cleans it up, the rosewood's nice and clean too. It has the effect of cleaning the board as well. So, this will give you very, very shiny, clean frets. The more you go over it, the shinier and cleaner it gets. And it makes a big, big mess that you get to clean up. So yeah, just go over every fret over and over and over and over and over again. And just see it coming out like that. Till it's basically a little mirror. Alright. So yeah, I did a lot of work on it just now. The frets are super, super shiny. They're set. Okay, so same day as the neck work. The 23rd is where we're at now. Going to do a unbagging, not an unboxing because I don't have any boxes here, of guitar related things. Now this one says Vintage Decal Depot, so I already know that's going to be what it is. Guitar audio, someone called RJ Diode. Hey, how about that? And the Art of Tone. Okay, so these are all guitar related stuff that literally just got put in front of my door 2 minutes ago. Now, sometimes I've noticed that mail delivery people will sit in front of my home and have their lunch. And sometimes I think it's just the time of day, but also I considered that it might actually be because of security systems. So maybe they see that there's a camera, and then if somebody tries to, you know, try to grab at them or take stuff or something, that will be on camera. Okay, so here we go. These are the vintage Fender brand original types of knobs to go with CDS pots, genuine Fender parts. Let's see what it says here. Oh, made in the USA. Whoa. Made in USA. That's near here. All right. So I got another one, RJ Diode, and I'm thinking this one is going to be the output jack for the Kramer. Let's see if I can get this to work. I'll try not to hurt myself. There we go. You know, when you're a kid, you want everything right away. This is happening with my son right now because I've ordered him a practice rapier, right? And I looked up the tracking and I said, oh, it's going to be like next week. He said, oh man, it's going to be next week. It's like, well, hey, you know, I asked him, I said, how long have you been waiting for it? It's like half a year or something like that, right? He goes, yeah. I said, well, what's a few more days? What's just like 3 or 4 more days to have to wait? But, you know, now that I'm an adult, I like getting stuff in the mail. I just would rather, you know what I mean? You go to the store and you're around people and you have to be seen and you feel out of shape and you're there for one reason, but then everything else is in the way, right? And it is a hassle. And the amount of money you're paying, this slight amount more money, sometimes less money actually, to get that experience of getting things through the mail, it's worth it. It's worth it to pay a little bit of shipping to just be able to stay at home and not have to go deal with wall Martians or you know, whatever's going on out there in the world. Here's my CTS pots. Okay, and I'm pretty sure that's everything. We have the decals, we have the genuine knobs, we have the neck, the pickups, and the CTS pots. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's everything. We can go ahead and do this custom. Okay, so I've got everything set up here to start. Taking apart this guitar and getting it prepared for its new neck. I've also got some big burgers to eat. These are vegan steak burgers. They're super, super good. You know, people say, oh, what's in that? It's vegan, that's not meat. Well, one thing that's not in it is feces. Another thing that's not in it is parasites. And another thing that's not in it is heart clogging fat and growth hormones, which regardless of whether they help or hurt you or not, are part of animal suffering, you know, and pollution and stuff. So I love these. They are the best steak burgers I've ever had in my life. Easy to make. And these ones have my special sauce on this super, super hot, like ghost pepper sauce. The saddest thing about this is these strings would have probably lasted another year or so. They're super good. They last forever. Sometimes the little coating will come off, like right where your pick is heavy use, or possibly on a string where there's heavy use, but not usually. I'm ready to have a storm, possibly. I told my cat to put on his umbrella hat. Okay, so I'm definitely going to have to shim the pocket, and that's okay. Just a minor variance of about a little less than a 16th. Which will require me to add some slight shims. First I need to install the bridge and line up some strings. That way I know for a fact exactly how much room I need. Because I want it to be perfect. Hopefully the bridge will fit. I'm batting 1,000. What's going to happen is the pots won't fit, the pickups won't fit, the bridge won't fit, and the neck won't fit. It'll just be like nothing fits. The old bridge, pretty thin, but still not bad materials. It's steel. You know, it's not like that crappy pot metal stuff. It looks like an actual block of steel. So I'll give them that. That's good. That's not pot metal crap. Now it looks like the edge of this is just wide enough to want to bite in here. And it doesn't want to go all the way to the right. I've noticed there's a tiny bit of wood here where when this was cut out they just kind of left some wood right here, so I'm going to remove a tiny amount there and see if that helps. I'm getting a good lining up over here on the side, but on the left side it's just about a half millimeter off, and that's probably about a millimeter of bit of wood there, so shouldn't take too much to file that off. Okay, I'm going to use the business end of this file. This guitar is much lighter weight than my other one that was from the same company, the Lucky Penny. The Lucky Penny guitar has some of the best playability, very vintage sounding. Okay, that's working. Actually had to do this with a Glarry guitar to get a better bridge to fit in it. Get a Wilkinson with a huge block, and that ended up being one of my best instruments. I play it all the time, and it has an aftermarket neck. And I just scratched the guitar. There we go. Perfect. Batting 1,000. That'd be easy to polish out though. That's nothing. Just a little nub. There's some other bits here. But now we're going to test it. And there, it's almost lined up perfect now. Yeah. Okay. A new file that's really, really good and strong. I'd kind of like to try for this. I think it would remove a lot more material a lot faster. Although using this one, it's smaller, so less likely to remove too much, I guess. There we go. Want that to be smooth. Yeah, there's some paint run where the paint ran over. Just right on the edge, the enamel. Okay. Much, much closer. Let's see. See if it bends up. Okay, so I'm going to test it briefly here just to see if the width will function where it is. Okay. And it's touching the side right here. Maybe filing down some more room on that side. I don't know. I don't like doing that if I can avoid it. The point here is to make a parts caster. And so sometimes that involves a little bit of Frankenstein tactics. Okay, it's got some space on both sides now. It's free moving.
Don't know if I've taken this plate off before or not. Maybe. Probably not. I know these are the most mushy pots that I've ever had. They are like mushy. When you turn them, you have to use force to turn them. I guess that could be, you know, it needs deoxit or grease or something going on there. But nevertheless, it is the mushiest pots ever. Who cares? Okay. Alright. Of course, dime pots. Smallest pots you ever saw. Alright. I'd like to line this up a little better. There we go.
So I'll have to drill every one of these to widen the holes. Starting this by hand. See how much room I need. Okay, so I drilled into the scratch plate to widen the holes, and now I'm just perfecting it with a razor to make sure it's just the right width for the pot
threading to fit through here. I've already tested this one, and now I'm cutting this one so it will be wide enough. My drill bit is the actual perfect size, which means the pot is just like it wants to thread in there. But so yeah, I'm going to just test fit this real quick. There we go. Okay, so that's got it. Eddie Van Halen would be proud of me right now, because this is a. I told the people I was chatting with that nothing fit, and that I was going to have to break out the drill and the voodoo. So that's really where we're at. Alright, we're going to heat up the soldering iron and go ahead and get ready to wire stuff. Now this is, of course, a Eastern style, China, Indonesia, stuff like that, style switch, and I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem with it. And I've written a really precise diagram. There we go. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I should actually just leave it together, because that might make it easier to deal with later, in case I want to put this in a different guitar. I noticed in the diagram it actually showed these two bridged, and this does not have it that way. I don't know if that means that one of the pickups didn't have a tone adjustment, or if this switch is slightly different or something, but either way, it was different. I'm okay with that. Alright, so here we're at. We have our ready to go scratch plate. Okay, here's my pickups with their pots. Alright, so that'll be easier to deal with. And I'm going to grab this with a tool so I'm not burning myself, because all this is metal and conductive, heat conductive, and everything. There we go. Okay. Okay, that was the power. And now here's its little extra that connects to the pot, and there we go. Okay. And you know, I haven't had any coffee, and that's why I'm not shaking like an Irish drunk.
So let me go like this. Wow, that's barely any teeth to grab onto like that, though. Hopefully I'll still have the little teeth to grab onto. Oh yeah, that's plenty of teeth to grab onto. Wow. It's a CTS pot, can you believe it? It's gonna be pretty funny because I just used my inhaler. I'm an asthmatic. It sucks. Alright, that's very nice. I like that. Very much. I like how that looks. Okay, I'm gonna do the other two.
They actually give you a nice large amount of this wire. Really, really nice. Wow. So I don't think I'll have any problem at all cloth wiring the entire thing. I noticed these vintage style pickups actually have little rubber instead of springs. And I got to say that I like that. And I really don't like dealing with the springs. They're a headache. They're hard to deal with. So hopefully this will be nice. Alright, we got all three in there. Now, they do fit, and they fit in a way where it is so perfect that there is no room at all. It's like they fit 100% perfectly. Got the CTS pots in there. Old switch, which actually this is a really great switch. I don't have a problem with it. I think it works great. Okay. Now I guess it's time to solder everything where it goes. And I guess the cloth like has wax in it or something. It feels like it does. It feels like there's like wax in there. Like it's kind of, I don't know, scooting it around or something. There we go. Okay. Alright, now we've got all of our pickups connected and friendly. So next, everything's going to ground to the volume. So I guess I'm going to have a whole big mess on this volume pot right here. Okay. It's going to be kind of a blob so that everything will kind of stay there. Okay. Alright. Okay, yeah, so the Borg have adapted. The wax is a lot easier to deal with because it's like it's forming to the shape that you bend it to. They're all thoroughly grounded, and let's see if I can't wrap that stuff around in here. It's going to have a big whirly kind of mess. It's going to be fun. You know, I'm going to have to re-knot and group this all. I just realized that probably none of that was on camera. I have to wind it all around different when I finally do put this back on the board. So in theory, all of my pickups are now grounded and set up for the switch. I think that's got it. I don't know though. I'm going to add some more. I don't know what that just... Wait. It took a second. That's what it is. It just took a second to... So just as I'm test fitting, I realize... First off, remember when I said earlier that this was set up for HSS? It was set up for HSS or SSS, but not HH. I think when they designed this guitar, for real, somehow somebody decided they wanted to make a guitar that was good, but in absolutely no possible way upgradable. And it's been very frustrating. So now I am actually... The one problem is I got everything to fit except the lowest CTS pot. It doesn't have enough room. And we're talking a matter of millimeters. I am actually filing away some room here so that bottom CTS pot will fit in this cavity. Once that's done, then I can go ahead and wire the ground and the output jack here, and then we'll be ready to test fit the neck and drill holes for the neck. Well, they say that the more you work on something, the more you love it when it's finished. So I imagine I'm going to really love this guitar when it's done. It's about 2 millimeters worth, and to keep it nice and round, I have to use a thin enough file. I don't have the proper tools for this. What I'd use would be like a round sanding
like can on a drill, you know, or of course you could use a Dremel or something to get in here and just widen it. That would take a minute, but I don't have any of that stuff. At least I don't think I do, and I don't feel like looking for stuff. So I'm just manually sanding this down until this right here is just a hair closer. If we look at clearance, when I put my plate down on here, it is almost there. It's just about there, and that pot just barely doesn't fit. And you know, when they made it, of course, in the factory, dime pots, and so there's really no reason to have this wider. But you know, if they've only made it just slightly wider, then the new pots would have dropped right in. While I'm at it too, I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of this chance to get rid of this sawdust that's painted that they left in here. Just get rid of it. So while I'm in here, I'll be cleaning all this up as much as possible so it ends up being good. And just, you know, side note, if you're doing this by hand, which I am, it's really actually better to sand in a straight line, or file, I should say, in a straight line towards your goal, and then go ahead and file the sides to match. Then you'll have nice little edges to file. Rounding it constantly is only if you're trying to create kind of a circle. That's kind of a final thing to do, but it's getting close. So, and I'm not giving up till it's done, so it's going to get done. All right, got my tuning machines on. I'm going to use a little drill bit just to start a spot for the screws.
Grab a little bit. That's got that one. And that's really in there good. It's not moving. You going to finish that?
Okay, by putting the shims in the side of the neck, then putting the neck on, I put two strings, the high E and the low E, in the bridge, lined them up until I was satisfied with it, then carefully, while clamping down on it nice and tight with my hand so it can't move, I lifted the guitar, and then using a small drill bit by hand, I made these starting points so I can drill into the neck now and prepare it to be mounted to the body. We're almost there. After that's all done and I put the strings on, then I will install the string trees, because you want the string trees to be lined up just right with the strings perfectly. Before I go ahead and start drilling in, I'm going to do a little starting point by hand with the drill bit, and that will just help to secure the bit so I don't drift. All right. Gently. Okay. Of force behind it here. I'm just going to turn the crank and hopefully get... Okay, we've got our first string on and it lines up perfectly. The bottom edge lined up well. The top still has that bit of a shim that I could probably go ahead and remove. It's probably not even necessary for it to even be in there, and that'd be good. Then I have just a little bit floating around in there. The neck is solid. It's very flat against the top. I don't think there's any more, well, yeah, there might be some mild room for adjustment. We'll see. Okay, so now that my strings are lined up well, I can go ahead and prepare to glue the nut. Okay, I went ahead and glued this. when I glued it, because these little packets of super glue can be like, they can blast out a whole bunch too much glue, I used a toothpick, and I just used an old string bag, poured a little bit on the string bag, and then dabbed it in right here and right here behind where it would rest, where the force would be on it. And so now that part is done. Alright, we've got all the strings on. Everything's looking great. Lined up very, very well. And so what I've done is loosened all of these 1 through 4 so that the string trees can be installed. Now the way I do this, and the way you want to set these up so that the 3 and 4 are in between the first two tuning machines, and kind of lined up with the truss rod hole. But really what you want is a straight line for your strings. And then once the pinhole is drilled, then you can seat it and mark for your screw hole. And then you want to start a screw hole, again with the same drill bit usually, and then add your screw and make it nice and tight. Okay, so what I did is I used a pencil, I lined it up on the strings, pressed down slightly, and now I'm using, again, by fingers, the drill bit to make the screw setting hole and the pin hole. All right. Okay, so now we have 2 perfectly installed, happy little string trees. Okay, we've got a guitar. It sounds pretty good so far. Raised the bridge a little bit. I've been tweaking the springs, adjusting the heights. Alright, so I've set up the instrument, tried it out, and I realized that the volume wasn't working right. And the way things were happening, and even though I did test the voltage and everything, the output, and that still registered properly, is because what's happening is I forgot to ground the volume pot to itself. And I already know that's what the problem was. I just thought it through the process, and I was like, crap, I forgot that. What they usually do is bend that up and solder it to itself, and that just automatically grounds the volume pot. And I totally forgot to do that. And so what that's doing is making it so that the next ground in sequence is actually controlling the flow of all 3 of them. And it's giving me kind of an odd balance of volume and tone. It's not quite right, and the volume only works slightly. It's like it's fighting with tone over control of the volume. And so it can't be turned down all the way. I've got some buzzing, and I'm pretty sure it's the frets. So I'm going to probably go ahead and do the fret rocker, go over the whole thing, and I'm going to give it a complete level crown polish for the whole entire neck. And I'm going to sink these top frets a little bit, maybe the top 5 or top 4 frets, just to create that little downward slope so that low action does not inherently cause buzzing. Now these strings are brand new. I'm definitely going to reuse them. I don't waste strings if I can avoid it. I've got some strings that are years old and I still play on them. I've actually heard of some pros that are like that. They play guitars and that have, super old strings on them. They don't change them. Why bother? Why waste strings if you like how they sound? If they're not dead, they play okay. Then that's fine. My son's friend that he's having a band with in school. He's 11. He's about to turn 12, and he says he's in a band with his friend. They come over and they use my gear and they play together. And I've talked about him before. It's really cool to see kids, you know, kind of start planting the seeds that could blossom into a musical group. You know, I know that people. Okay, let me put it a certain way. I wrote a book, and I thought it was going to get published. I had a friend keep telling me they were going to send it to be published, and to not. They told me not to send it away; that they would edit it and then send it away to be published. And so I actually believed, hey, I'm going to be a published author one day. There are these really expensive books they used to have at the library you could rent that had all the different major house publishers and the people to send your book to try to get a test read and to see if you can get your foot in the door with one of those. Used to be 5 publishers' houses, turned into 4. And so I was like, oh, I'm on my way. I know this book is good. They told me the book was great, and that it'd make a good screenplay, and it'd be a good movie and stuff like that. Here's my problem right here. This little guy here. And I'm just going to bring it up here. And so I really thought I was going to be published. Well, I was working with some people cleaning floors, and this guy that I was with cleaning floors, we used to, you know, toke and stuff, and I'd be all out of my mind trying to work and be blasted. I told him about it, which was probably a big mistake. You know, don't tell people that what you aspire to do, okay? And he said, "Oh, we've got a regular Stephen King here, guys. You know, hey, we didn't even know. You know, you must be some kind of, you know, genius Stephen King writer, right?" And you know, I won't say that it hurt, but it doesn't feel good when people mock you like that, right? And so when a couple 11-year-old kids say that they're in a band and they want to hang out and play guitar and stuff like that, I would more think that it's better to say, do your very best, you know, and hopefully you guys stick together, and imagine what it'd be like if you guys performed on stage, or if you became a band and were together for 20, 30 years and made a couple hits and got some attention and stuff. I would rather say something like that than go, oh, we've got a regular Van Halen here. Oh, we've got the next, I didn't know I was in the presence of greatness. Oh, you guys, and you know, mocking people like that makes them feel like crap and makes them feel like they're never going to be anything. And you know, just because you're from a dead-end town or you don't have a lot of money, you know, doesn't necessarily mean that you're stuck and that you'll never become anything, right? I'd rather think that anything is possible than think that you're stuck and that there's nothing that you can do, right? But it hurts. It does. It hurts when people mock you like that. You never believe how it feels. And of course, my book never got published. That friend and I were not friends anymore. And you know, over 15 years, I constantly heard that the book was, well, at first it was almost done being edited. Then they're going to send it to the publisher, and I was really excited. Then it became, it's done being edited, and I you know, looked over it and read the edited version. I was really happy with it, and I heard constantly it's getting sent out to be published. And over, you know, a decade, we're going to send it out and get it published. And then eventually it became, I no longer have the ability or mental capacity or the will to have your book published, and it's just like a waste of almost 20 years of my life. And then, of course, when you tell people about that stuff, they say the stupidest possible thing they could say. Well, you could have it published on Amazon, and it's like, yeah, because Amazon's going to give you nothing. You know, when you work on something like that to get it published, it's for royalties, so that you'll be getting money for it. It's for movie deals and people that want to turn it into a screenplay. It's for series. It's for a sequel and stuff like that. So I'm not writing the book so that I can give it away for free on Amazon so Amazon can make a ton of money and I make nothing. I want one of the 4 major publishing houses to pick up my book so that I can scoop royalties off of it for the rest of my life. And I understand they mean well, and they act like anybody can just throw whatever they write at Amazon and they'll publish it and everyone can have it. But that's not profitable. That's actually fast food books. And, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if I sent it to Amazon, it'd be published and I'd be making money off it. But whatever I'd make would be the very bare minimum. And so it's a lot of wasted time. And I like the book. I read books. I like, my favorite author is Kurt Vonnegut Jr. I've read all of his books except one. I like reading, and I've read, encyclopedias on mythology. I've read bits and pieces of the Encyclopedia Britannica. I've read many books. I've read lots of books. I've read the Iliad, Odyssey, the works of Josephus, Philo, the Kabbalah, astrotheology books. I like reading, so it's not like I'm coming out of left field, some idiot that doesn't know anything about, the flow of a book or how it should be or how a book can be entertaining. And I feel like it was a good work, and then I deserved a chance. But, the letdown and the lies and deception, and I actually have, I thought my family was going to be like a family that plays music together. We're all going to gather together and have our own instrumental talents and stuff. And so I ended up getting a lump sum of money one year, and I thought, this is my chance to set us up, right? So I bought a Tascam Portastudio, which a professional studio engineer said was the best thing you could get, was all you need. It's super high quality, and that he could use it to do 90% of his work. So I bought that. I got drum sets, guitars, keyboards, guitars, mixers. I got amps. I got PA, speakers, everything hooked up. So microphones, not bad. I got the best microphones I could get, like SM58s, SM57s. I got drum mics, everything, so that recording could be done right here. And I have used it to record my own stuff. If you hear I'll play my song that I wrote and put together, and there's no vocals, but it's I did all the instrumentation, all the rhythm guitar, lead guitar, bass guitar, keyboard, synthesis, and I used a drum machine for it. But I assembled it all with my Tascam, and it was easy. So, I do have the ability to produce. So there's no reason why him and his friend can't, mature and use these things and become a band and get work done with all of the resources that are right here. And I'm actually really happy that the stuff's getting used. But, just a lot of letdowns, a lot of sticks in the spokes, so to speak. So now I'm going to get my soldering iron ready and get this fixed. But yeah, I do wish that I could have got my book published. Now I do have a couple of video games that were published, and but basically my dreams have been smashed. My dreams started with failing marriage after 22 years, relationship that I was absolutely assured constantly that would never fail. That she would never leave me, never give up on me, never stop loving me, that it was impossible. And I heard that, I feel like 1,000 times I heard that, really. It could have really been 1,000 times. I heard over 20 years how much my kids loved me, how great of a papa I was, how it was such a great family. My kids were all high ability students. There was a lot of love and a lot of togetherness. And when you break up, the handful of negative interactions that you have become the defining factor of a 22 plus year relationship. So you have countless positive interactions with your kids. You have countless happy, positive interactions. And then when you break up, the negative interactions are now the defining interactions. And so you're just, that's what happened now. And that's how people will treat it. And I'm not like that. I've matured a lot over, just like most people, over the years I matured a lot. And I learned so much. And honestly, I can say that I really hate the person that I was when I was young. I don't like the person that I was. And it's not because I was a bad guy. I was just, like a lot of people, I had a very, very foolishly high level of confidence. You know, like, I don't know, I feel like I just believed in myself way too much. And, you know, when people say believe in yourself and never give up and stuff like that, I think sometimes that's kind of dangerous because, you know, I think it's better to prove it to yourself than to believe in yourself. And I believed in myself way too much and didn't prove it to myself nearly enough. And I think that that had a very powerful impact on me. So yeah, I really, and also I did a lot of stupid things. I'm sure we all do stupid stuff when you're young, right? But I did things like romantically that I regret. You know, talk about some soap opera stuff here while I'm recording videos about working on guitars. But, you know, I'll just say something, you know, incredibly, deeply, profoundly personal for the tens of people that watch this. Let's see, I've been with 4 women in my whole life. The first 3 were in high school and just out of high school. And the 4th one was my wife of over 22 years. And I haven't been with anyone since she broke up with me. I like to say I haven't had my back scratched in over 5 years now, right? We took care of each other. It was a lot of back rubs and foot and scratches and hugging and a lot of holding and stuff like that. And you know, I had to learn how to sleep alone again because it had been decades since I'd slept alone. And I consider what we had to be a very intimate, affectionate, and we were the good guys. You know, like our kids did great. I heard from teachers that they wished that they had 10 of one of my kids, 10 Caraways in their class, and the class would be that much better. Stuff like that. So I am not the type of person that believes that vows are so easily broken. You know, I'm actually one of them people that I'm against it. And so, you know, we have a running deal now, and this happened about 5 years ago, more like 4.5, 5 years ago, that I would stay here because this house was actually given to both of us by her grandmother. You know, so I didn't plan on moving out just because she broke up with me. I was like, no, I read what you should do when someone wants a divorce, and one of the first things it said is whatever you do, don't move out. Because in court, that's seen as abandonment of children and forfeiture of any kind of value of property or anything that's acquired. And, you know, I have a huge collection of valuable things like guitars and toys and books and comics and stuff. And I would have been walking out on the street homeless with having not worked in a long time because I was the person who stayed at home and raised kids and watched the house and took care of everything. I was a house husband. And, you know, I'm not going to try to say I was perfect. You know, I'm not perfect. We had arguments and fights and stuff like that. And we all have issues. I've had issues, truthfully, yes. But I don't see anything happening in our relationship that really would have meant it's time, you know, to give up on our 22 plus year relationship. And now I'm isolated and I don't see my grown-up kids anymore. But I'm here raising my 2 youngest kids every single day, and I'm supposed to, per agreement, leave once my youngest kid is 18 years old. Then I'm done. Supposedly I'm done. And that's in 6 years. Right, so I have 6 years to come up with a way to take care of myself, and in 6 years I'll be 55 years old, right, or 56 years old. I'm not prepared, and, you know, logically I know I'm not prepared, so, you know. immortal words of our gang lord to Woodford, polishing, 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 polishing. Yeah, I was kind of shocked to find out that when they plate guitars, they use that machine, that they leave the strings on. What is that thing doing where they can leave the strings on and do the frets? I mean, I get it. You can do little, touch-up work and stuff they have like Stu-Mac tools for it, things like that. But how does that machine do the frets with the strings on? Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure that's what I heard. Where this guitar was an extremely light instrument before, it is a very heavy instrument now. And so I don't know if that's just the overall weight of the neck and then maybe the bridge, because the bridge has a larger, heavier block. I thought maybe it's just like, for real, a combined effect of all higher quality, heavier duty parts. Like the pickups are bigger and heavier, the pots are bigger and heavier, the bridge is bigger and heavier, the neck is bigger and heavier. And so the whole instrument is much heavier now than it was before. I kind of wish I would have weighed the instrument before, because it was one of my lighter guitars. Like my lightest being my yellow Glarry, which actually was still a pretty good guitar. I'd like to do this same thing, this whole entire deal that I just did with this instrument with the Glarry. All around beautiful design. Got our shiny frets, very shiny, beautiful. Look at that. Bling, bling. I'm signaling. S-O-S, okay. Smooth. Very, very smooth. All right. I think we're good. Now I get my vacuum cleaner, get all this crap up, wash my hands, reassemble this instrument. Okay, project done. This guitar is finally finished. We've got a super nice Stratocaster. Just got done wiping down the body to get it nice and clean. Everything's dialed in. The heights are set, intonation set. I filed the nut. So much work went into this instrument. So I'll talk about that here in a second. I knew that I wanted a Fiesta Red Strat, and I had this Fiesta Red Effin guitar, which is a house brand from Butler Music. Super good guitar, but it could have been better. It was a really lightweight, and when I finally got the action down nice and low, it was okay. I already had a bent metal saddle bridge from a different guitar that I disassembled, so I went ahead and got custom CTS pots from the Art of Tone. I got USA made Fender knobs. I got hand wound custom 50s style Alnico 5 pickups, and I got a Fender style neck. To start with, to get the pots to fit, I had to file by hand because the routing was only enough to fit dime size pots. So that was a huge amount of work. I had to file the side of the bridge slot because it was just barely too short for the wider, fatter block. All this was cloth wire, so I replaced all the wiring. Then I shimmed the neck so that the action would be nice and low. After that complete level crown polish, the neck is very, very good now. Nice low action. It's about 1.5 millimeters, somewhere around that or less. So it's very, very low action. I put a little bit of lift on the bridge so you can get up and down action with the trem bar. I also went ahead and filed the nut. It's prepared. I believe the nut was probably set up for 9s, and so I went ahead and filed it for the 10s that I usually use, which are 10, 13, 17, 26, 36, 46. The hardest part was filing by hand And so what I learned from this was that the next time I do an upgrade, check, you know, first thing, take off the scratch plate and then see if nickel pots will actually fit in what's been routed out. Because that was very, very labor intensive by hand filing away till I had enough room to fit the lowest tone pot. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot from this. It was a lot of work. These pickups are loud and they're really clean and clear and vibrant. I like them a lot. I love the action of the neck. It's nice low action. So it was a lot of fun. Very good learning experience.
Okay, so now I have a rare moment where I'm going to be playing this instrument without any effect. So this is Effin Fiesta Red. So this guitar has DR neon strings on it. In case you can't see it in the video, they're different colors each string and they have a coating on them. This guitar is actually very quiet. So I'm going to play the same thing I just played, only with some distortion.
Audibly more. Weird having your volume actually work. So, was it worth it? Yeah, I think it was worth it, especially for the experience. And I think the guitar is much better now. It's also much, much louder now. The action is much, much better. The neck is much better on this now. It makes me think that people that play with their fingers have an advantage with this type of setup before. It's a lot heavier instrument now, like I said. Intonation's great, action's great, the nut's great, the tuning's good. Whammy bar is perfect. If you could hear how smooth the whammy bar is now, it's like it reminds me of a 2-point bridge. If I do the whammy bar here. Pop and wow on there. Smoother, probably the smoothest 6-screw bridge that I've ever had. Usually 6-screw bridges have more of a quick, kind of clunkier whammy bar action going on. This is a lot smoother, probably a lot more usable. So yeah, it's a great instrument. I like it. It's going to be on my stand now and get played a lot. Thanks for watching. If you could, you know, like, subscribe, share, and all that stuff, or comment if you're not going to be too caustic about it and tell me that, you know, all I have is a pile of junk or something like that. You know, I welcome compliments and careful criticisms, but if you're just going to ad hominem outright insult me, then save it. You know, I don't need any more of that. You know, thanks for watching.